Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to attempt to take the Resurrection Cherokee out on its first trail. This is the video y'all have been waiting for, and that goes for me too. The goal for this video is to get a bunch of things done on the Jeep in order to get it out on the trail. If we can make it happen, it'll be the first time this Jeep has seen dirt since the 1-ton swap. Now we're either going to run a legit trail in this video or just take the Jeep out to do some flex session on a local trail. That's what I'm thinking, at least. The first thing that we were supposed to do in this video was fix the ride height on the Jeep. I was gonna do that by replacing the coils in these coilovers, but the wrong ones came in the mail. So instead, I just adjusted the preload. It's like at 2¼ inches of preload, which is way too much. This thing is probably not gonna ride the best on the street, but it's what I gotta do to get the ride height I want in order for us to run Easter Jeep Safari in 1 week. I did email AccuTune asking if they could overnight the new coils that I need, but it's Saturday, so I'm not gonna get a response for another 2 days. So we still might get the right coils. If they do come in, it's a pretty quick process. I can do it in probably an hour or two. But for now, I mean, it's sitting where it needs to be. We've got 5 inches of shaft showing at ride height, which is perfect. So next, we're gonna move on to exhaust. This Jeep has the 2 cats in the manifold and the one down below here. We're gonna be keeping all those cats just so we don't mess up how the Jeep is actually running, but we are going to be adding an aftermarket muffler. The stock muffler is way too big. I think the body of it is actually 19 inches long and 10 inches wide. And the muffler that we're gonna be using is 14 inches long and 9 inches wide, which is this Flowmaster FX muffler. I picked this muffler up at my local AutoZone. I thought it was the muffler that I had on the red Cherokee, but I was wrong. The muffler I have on the red Cherokee is reasonably quiet, and that Jeep doesn't have any cats, so I expected if I put the same one on the green Jeep, it should be even quieter since we have cats on this Jeep. But this isn't the muffler that I have on the red Jeep, so I'm scared that it's gonna be a little louder. It is a cheaper muffler than I have on the red Jeep, but we'll see. It's going on either way. I already bought it. So a few things on this exhaust. We're literally just throwing a muffler on this thing with a turn down right after the muffler. We'll have to revisit this in the future because this is not the way I wanted to do this, but it is by far the simplest and quickest option. Originally, I wanted to use the stock tailpipe so we could dump the exhaust out the back. That stock tailpipe hits our new shock cross member we made back there, and that is just something I'm not going to worry about right now. Not bad. Well, sounds like I didn't tighten a bolt over here at the flange, but at the downpipe here, definitely got an exhaust leak there, but I'll take care of that later. This sounds good though. Not too loud. Next, we need to get these lockers working, because right now they're not hooked up to any air. Now, I don't use a compressor to air up my tires or actuate my lockers. I actually use CO2. I've done it this way for a while. I'm gonna continue doing it this way until I want to spend money on a compressor. This is my preferred way to fill up tires because it does it much quicker than a compressor would. But in the future, I want to try to get a lot of my gear outside of the Jeep, like the big 40 we got here and the CO2 tank, because it just takes up more room. Eventually, we're gonna have this 40 on a tire carrier bumper in the back here, and this will end up being a compressor probably stored inside of one of these little quarter panels. So first, we gotta mount our solenoids. Here's one of them actually. We need to mount our switches for our lockers. But first, I want to do the easiest part. I want to mount the CO2 tank, because I don't know how I did it in the past. Actually, I think I must have just strapped it to a box or something back here. I probably did something not too great. So for the meantime, I want to make a nice quick mount for the CO2 tank. It's going to be a very simple mount and just something that is going to be good enough for the next upcoming trips. So I got something drawn up right here. See that right there? It's just basically a little rectangle that's going to have 2 bends in it and a few holes. Let's see what we can make happen. So we are gonna have to make a lower mount because originally I wanted this piece to have like a V in it, so it kind of sat in the tank, sat in the piece. Right now it's just kind of butted up against it, and then it has tension with the ratchet strap, but it still shakes around quite a bit. So I'm thinking we'll add a lower mount and we'll see how it does from there. So this is definitely getting there. It's not quite perfect yet. You can see we still have a little, I mean, this thing shakes quite a bit. That movement is a combination of the thin metal that those brackets are attached to, especially this lower one. Well, and actually this top one. This top one bends quite a bit. And because the brackets we made are kind of just buttered up against the CO2 tank, what would have been perfect is if they were somehow made into a V and they kind of hugged the tank. And I thought of a way to do just that. I made these brackets, or these pieces for the brackets that we have. So this is just gonna be for the other side of our bracket. We're gonna throw some welds on it, just about right here and right here. I'm gonna do that for the top and bottom, and hopefully it'll get rid of some of this movement. It's gonna still shake a little bit. I mean, I think the lower one actually moves quite a bit more. It's kind of rolling along that bracket a little bit. So hopefully this piece takes care of that, but we'll see. There will be a little bit of movement, don't get me wrong, because of where it's bolted to, but I mean, yeah, let's see what we can make happen here. We've got our final product right here. We've still got quite a bit of movement, but I definitely would say it is a little better than what it was before. All of this movement, you can see, it's tough to see on camera, but this piece is flexing right here, this is thin, and then this coming out, this is actually bolted to this upper bracket, super thin, so I mean, it's gonna have a little bit of movement, but this is just supposed to be a temporary bracket, if you will. Eventually, we'll be changing this whole setup, but this should get us by for a few trips. Now, let's get to the actual locker setup. So here are our two electric over air solenoids for our lockers. This is a brand new one straight from Yukon, and this is the old one that I used when we just had a rear air locker, ARB air locker in the back of the Cherokee, back when we had the Ford 88. I don't know why I had a Yukon solenoid with the ARB locker, but I never had a problem with it, so that's why I went ahead and bought the same one for the front. So yeah, Yukon sells this, it's like $60, but these solenoids are from a company, you can't really see it, but on top here it says Mac, and I looked it up, and Mac sells this without this little exhaust port and without the connector for like $30. I didn't get that one. I wasn't 100% sure that they were going to be exactly the same, so I just played it safe and got the Yukon one. But if you wanted to save money, you can just buy the Mac valve or Mac solenoid. So we got that. We're basically just going to be putting two fittings like you see right on here. Do an inlet and an outlet on this one, and then we're going to be making a plate to mount these two. Because in the past I've had these just zip tied back there behind the plastic, but I want it, even though you're not going to see, I want it to be a little cleaner. Don't want to have any air leaks. I should also note that we're doing electric over air. What comes with our aux lockers, which we have aux lockers in the front and the rear, is this little air valve, air switch, I should say. This is really nice, but I don't see any way like where we could actually fit this in our dash. So I'm gonna save these. These would be awesome if we were building some sort of like custom dash. I'm gonna keep these and we can use them for a future project. And this is what's gonna go on top of our CO2 tank. So we're gonna have an inlet right here for the air. We're gonna have two outlets for both our air lockers. I found this nice fit in and I thought it was gonna work pretty well. Then we have an outlet to fill up our tires with. So all this should be a pretty simple install. All the wiring is already set up for the lockers. We do have to put this switch somewhere in the dash. This is one that I had lying around. I actually forgot to buy some new switches, so this one is broken. Oh, maybe, nope, yeah. See, it's broken. But this should get us by for wheeling this weekend. So we're just gonna mount all that. We're gonna start by making the bracket for these solenoids. I'm running air-actuated aux lockers. Y'all know that. I always have people ask why I didn't go with the cable-actuated aux lockers, which is pretty common. The reason for that is I feel running the air and electrical for my current setup is a little quicker, maybe simpler than running the cables. Plus, the biggest thing, I really wasn't sure where I would have put the 2 levers inside the Jeep. I don't have any plans to do a custom dash or center console, so room is very limited inside this Jeep. So I felt like the switches were just the way to go. In the future, I could always switch to a cable setup, but for what I'm gonna be doing with this Jeep, I think the electric over air setup is the way to go. Tough to see on camera, very dark in here, I know. But we've got our air line, our input air lines coming out of the CO2 tank, going to our solenoids. We got those hooked up. And we got 2 air lines that I ran previously off camera, coming from both lockers. They come up kind of through a hole in the floor right here. We got those hooked up to the output of the solenoids. The CO2 is currently on, no air leaks. And we've got 1 switch in the dash currently. So I'm gonna go try it out and see. I don't know which locker it should run, but we're gonna see if it works and make sure, hopefully there's no air leaks. Let's turn up the brightness in here, a little dark. So I got a lot of work to do in here, obviously, but we've got 1 switch right here. I heard something. There's the exhaust. What is it? Which one is that? That sounds like the rear, I think. I don't know if you guys can hear that clicking. That's definitely the rear. We'll jack this thing up later and check it out, but let's take this panel off and get our last switch in here, and then we'll have to do a little bit of rewiring up here, but we should be good. I previously ran wires for these lockers and some other switches. I forget what video that is, but I went through all the wiring, cleaned up what wiring was already there, and made a nice harness so everything was clean and just not a mess. So literally all I had to do this time around was install a second switch and plug it in. Locker should be hooked up right now. I'm gonna go ahead and jack up. I'm gonna do both the front and the rear separate times. And we're gonna see if this thing, like the lockers are actually working in this thing. We will be taking this thing out on the trail, hopefully by the end of this video. So we'll really get to test them, but for now, I wanna make sure, I don't know, I didn't wire anything wrong. Sounds like they're working. I mean, I can hear it clicking, but it's always good to double check. All right, they're spinning opposite ways. Open diff. Let's go lock them and see what happens. Oh, I think it's working. Gotta get it out of park though. There we go. We are locked. Well, it's working. That's good. Let's try the front. Now we're unlocked. That is so awesome. I know that's maybe not exciting to some, but that's pretty cool. Gonna lock our hubs. Big T. Alright, let's see. Yep. We're going opposite ways. That one's just about touching the ground. We're open diff right there. And we're locked. Oh my God, that's so awesome. Perfect. So we know the lockers, for the most part, should be working. Hopefully by the end of this video, we'll be able to take this thing out on the rocks and make sure they're actually gonna do their job, which there's no doubt in my mind they should. I think the next thing I wanna do, there's 100 more things we gotta do, but I think I wanna just put this interior back together. I'm gonna take out these 2 front seats, put the carpet in, put the seats back in, and then we can worry about where the heck this spare tire is gonna go. There's still quite a bit of interior work that I wanna do. I wanna do sound deadening mats all over the floor and on the ceiling and whatnot, but for now, we're just getting this thing ready for the next couple trips. We're gonna throw the carpet in, throw the seats in, and we're just gonna call it good. This interior is going to need a lot of work in the future. Like I said, for now, we are just throwing it back together to get by for now. Down the road, we'll be doing a hybrid cage, and after that, we'll be installing a headliner, some sound editing mats, and some nicer seats, so don't worry, there's plenty we're gonna be doing inside of here. But for now, it's just your typical XJ interior. One of the last things that we have to do to get this Jeep ready for the trail, one of the big last things I guess, is mount our spare tire. We've got our 40-inch Nito and our KMC bead lock right over here, our KMC Tank bead lock. I've literally never even opened this box before. I've had these wheels and tires for just under a year, literally never opened up that one. So we're gonna get this taken care of. There are a few more things that we have to do to the Jeep, but this is like the last big thing. Not really, you know, a big crazy thing to do, just a little time consuming. Just like the day we got them. That is so clean. Wow, that went so easy. Usually it is not. I don't remember it being that easy. We have a ton to do today. I have 2 days to work on the Jeep and get everything I want to done on it before I have to leave for Easter Jeep Safari. I gotta do all I want, and I still have to take the Jeep to a local trail to basically flex test it first. Make sure everything we did is actually going to work. So a little stressful, but that's all right. Also, the Jeep has what I thought was a weird vibration. Until yesterday, I was driving it and all of a sudden it sounded like someone threw it in park while we were going down the road at 40 miles an hour. Sounded like the parking pin was trying to engage. That is just what it sounded like to me. I don't think that's what was actually happening. I ruled out the rear axle because off camera I actually already took off that diff. I did not find anything whatsoever wrong. I know my driveline angle in the rear is a little off, but I don't think that's what caused that issue. I initially did, but I don't think that's what caused that issue. So right now, I think it's something in the front axle, unfortunately. I'm hoping I'm gonna open that up and find something that can be fixed reasonably in the short amount of time that we have. Because if it's not the front axle, I have literally no idea what it is. I'm not gonna explain myself right now, but I think whatever is wrong is in the front axle. So I'm gonna take that diff cover off and see what I can find. There was a lot to unpack there. First off, I mentioned Easter Jeep Safari. My plan right now is to get the Jeep done today, which is Thursday. Tomorrow, Ash and I are driving to go pick up We can call it a part for the Jeep. We're gonna talk about it more later, but that's going to take all day. And then Saturday, I'm going to take the Jeep to a local trail and flex test it like we talked about. And if that goes well, I will be heading to Moab right from there to go run some trails at EJS. This is a little change of plans for this video, so I just thought I would catch you up to speed. As for the weird noise that is maybe in our Dana 60. In this video, I don't figure out what that issue is. Spoiler alert. I removed this diff cover, and aside from finding a little more than usual metal flakes from our gears breaking in, I didn't find anything wrong on the inside. Now, this is really gonna be a spoiler. I drove the Jeep all the way to Moab and back and ran trails all weekend. I did 500 miles total with no issues. But when I got home and went to grease the front end of the Jeep to get ready for the next trail, or the trail for the next video, is when I found the issue. There's a needle bearing on the back side of these Dana 60 unibearings. My passenger side one was completely blown out. Not the unibearing, the needle bearing on the back side of the unibearing. I found this when I went to grease the axle shaft U-joint, and the shaft had an insane amount of up and down play. My unibearings are used, so either I didn't inspect them well enough, or I don't know. I just missed this bad bearing when I put the axle together. I found the bearing at my local AutoZone for $7. It's a cheap and quick fix. The needle bearing was completely gone in my unibearing. I think that noise I described as the parking pin engaging while driving was the bearing just completely grenading at that moment. Now I'm telling you all this because I don't have any of this on video, but I want you to be aware of this issue that I had. Hopefully this information can help one of you all in the future. With that taken care of, I moved on to my last task of the night. Leading up to this trip, all I could think about was how hot it was going to be in Moab. This Jeep has never liked the heat, and now with it lugging around all this heavy one-ton stuff, it wasn't gonna make it any easier on it. I want the heat in this engine bay to be able to escape. A quick way to do this, which I've seen other people do, is raise the rear of the hood so the heat has an easy way to escape. I cut off some simple spacers to accomplish this. Whether or not it's going to help, I don't know. We'll find out this weekend. I don't know. I have never liked when people raise the back of the hood. And that's only ½ inch. Usually people put 1-inch spacers in there. I don't know. Maybe if it was raised like up to 1 inch, it would look better, but that, I mean, it just looks unaligned to me. But you can see in there, so I guess that would be good, you know, for the heat to get out, as opposed to it being completely flat. I don't know. I think what this thing really needs to keep cool is an external trans cooler. Because right now the transmission cooler runs through the engine's radiator, which keeps that radiator very, very hot. That fluid coming from the transmission just warms that radiator right up. It is definitely not ideal. Now I already got a bunch of stuff in front of this radiator, which already is not ideal. What would be ideal is if we made a new bumper, which I think we will in the future. We get this winch way lower. Well, what people usually do is they cut out right here, kind of shove the winch in there, make a bumper, make a flush bumper, if you will. And then you don't have anything in front of this radiator, which, like I said, would be ideal. So we get a lot to mount up here. We're gonna be doing a power steering cooler when we do the hydro. Then now I wanna do a transmission cooler. We got the condenser. We got a lot of stuff up here already, and we got a lot of stuff that we need to put up here. So right now, I'm just kind of thinking of quick fixes, which is why we're raising the back of this hood. Once again, not ideal, but I think I might leave it for this trip at least. I might even raise it up a little more. I don't know. We're gonna get some new bolts and then we'll decide. Maybe we'll raise it up and then we'll see what it looks like. And like I said, we'll decide. It's gonna be close to 90 in Moab this week, I believe, which is very warm, especially for a Jeep that doesn't like to keep cool. That is everything I can get done on the list before we take the Resurrection Cherokee wheeling. We're gonna be taking this on a local trail here, basically just to flex test it. And if that goes well, I'm really hoping that goes well, then we're gonna be taking it out to Moab for Easter Jeep Safari. So, I was hoping to get a lot more done, but I mean, it just didn't work out that way, but that's all right. I think it is safe enough to go out on the trail reliably and capably. But there actually is one more thing that we're gonna be doing to the Resurrection Cherokee before we take it out on the trail. And to do that, Ashley and I are gonna be waking up at 4 a.m. tomorrow to drive 10 hours round trip. We're gonna be going to the Front Range of Colorado to pick up something for the Resurrection Cherokee that I have been waiting for a very long time. It's gonna be a good day. This is our brand new inspired Overland carbon fiber rooftop tent. We just picked this up. It was like 10 hours round trip. We went from Western Colorado to Castle Rock, Colorado. We picked it up at an Overland supply store called Spirit of 1876. Pretty cool store, and we were able to pick up our new rooftop tent. So this is massive. Honestly, this is a lot bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I guess I didn't do any measuring beforehand, but that's all right. This is gonna look really good on top of the Resurrection Cherokee. Huge shout out to Inspired Overland for making this happen. This is gonna be a really cool addition to the Jeep. I'm gonna get this thing out of the box. I'm really excited. We picked this up like 6 hours ago and I haven't been able to open the box yet. So we're gonna open it up and see how it looks on the Jeep. Got a thing on it. Wow, it looks so nice.
There we go. Look at that.
What? Oh, so cool, huh?
Yeah.
Guess we can open it up and see what it looks like.
Yeah, let's try to get these sides out first, because I don't want
All right.
staples to scratch the top of the.
So
Should
it's
I clip all of them?
Open the latches. Get a little pin. Oh wow, that's so cool.
Can you feel it going up already?
Yeah.
Well, no, this one's not. This is so much easier than our other one. Oh my god, it's gonna take so much less time. You know that?
Yeah. So I guess that covers it depending on the trip you could watch.
Yeah.
What's this? Just gonna help it a little.
There's a thing on it.
Wow.
Here.
Wow, this is crazy. Look at the top of this thing. It's like a giant TV.
This awning goes up pretty far. Wait, is there two awnings or is that separate?
That's the door that you're holding.
Let me look inside this box.
Yeah, so we got the tent. That was in this big box, and then this is mounting hardware / ladder, and hopefully the poles for this. Wow, that is so sick. This thing seems pretty cool so far. I really like it. I think it looks awesome. I mean, it's way thinner. I mean, we'll show you a comparison between the Smittybilt that we've always used in the past versus this one. This one is like, I think it's advertised as 80 pounds. Pretty sure our Smittybilt is 150. So it's gonna be a very, very big difference. I'm pretty sure, as far as I know, this is the lightest rooftop tent on the market. So I'm pretty excited. We're gonna get this thing on the Jeep before we like finish setting it up basically, put the poles in it, and we'll get a really good look at it once it's on the Jeep. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is moving quite a bit without the other rails.
I guess we'll get in it and decide if we want to put the other rails on the Jeep.
It looks like it needs it. When you were just like shaking it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it needs it.
Moving a lot.
Yeah. You need the other ones.
Cool. I'm gonna do a little bit of work to this. I think I'm gonna take the rails off of my red Jeep because pretty sure it's because the older generation Jeep, not the 2000, 2001s. So my 98 has the full roof rails. I think that's what's throwing me off and why it looks weird right now is because we have like 2 feet with nothing under it. So I'm gonna spend the night getting those on and we're gonna go wheeling in the morning. local trail called Bangs Canyon here in Western Colorado. This is a really good trail that I come to after doing suspension work, which we have done quite a bit of suspension work to the Resurrection Cherokee. This is a really good trail to test that kind of things because there's a ton of lines. There's an area that the locals call the playground. It has a ton of different lines that you can take to get up certain ledges. So it's gonna be a good, basically a flex test for the Resurrection Cherokee. And that is the only goal today, is we're gonna be flex testing the Resurrection Cherokee, make sure we don't have any major problems. And then if all goes well, I'm gonna be heading to Moab for Easter Jeep Safari directly after this. It is the first day of Easter Jeep Safari. And like I said, if all goes well, I'm supposed to be running the Resurrection Cherokee on a few trails for the next 2 days with a couple really cool people. So I'm excited to go test this thing out. Let's see what she can do. Hold up, I forgot to say literally anything about it. We've got the inspired Overland carbon fiber tent up there. It looks really good. I have the, I guess we'll talk about it a little later. I've got the Red Cherokee's roof rails up top here. I had to drill 4 new holes on each side, put some new nut certs, but it looks much better than the short rails that we had on there before. I can't wait to sleep in this tent tonight. I think it's gonna be pretty nice. I think it's growing on me. It looks pretty good. I hope you guys think the same. All right, we've got our first step section. We are going downhill. We kind of got to go into this little tiny valley, and there's a lot of steps. As you can see me walking down. We're gonna see how the Jeep does going down them. Obviously, it is much tougher going up than it is going down, but we're gonna see how it does. And then later on, we're gonna be doing some down there, then we're gonna come back up probably the same way. It's pretty, it's not difficult, but it can be challenging in the wrong rig, I guess we could say. I don't think the Resurrection Cherokee is the wrong rig for this though. Sorry if it's a little loud, my microphone died. But everything is working how it should, I think. We're gonna flex it the other way next and make sure that upper control arm's not gonna hit anything or our brake line's up there. Looks like we are leaking something down here, some sort of oil. I'm gonna have to pop the hood and find out. But it looks freaking awesome. We got this thing, this limit strap doing its job right here. That is nice and tight. This bump stop, we are currently riding bump stops. We're gonna have to get some shorter bumps, but currently stuffed right here. Then over here, yep, that leaf is flexing out. It looks awesome. Oh, and our bump stop here on the front right, it is completely bottomed out. So, and we don't have any rubbing. So this is working perfectly so far. I don't know if you all can hear me, but it is that brake line. I can't even see what I'm looking at on camera. This brake line right here, this fitting is leaking, so I'm gonna try tightening that up. That is not good, but that's why we're here, to check that kind of stuff. Looks like we do have some rubbing back here. That is very disappointing. Hopefully we don't chew up this tire, but we are just touching. How's the bump look? Yeah, that bump is working pretty hard right now. Not bad, it looks good though. I'm gonna check out this upper control arm. That upper control arm is like a centimeter away from that front drive shaft, but we are completely bumped out here, so that shouldn't matter all that much. Okay, I actually just put a wrench to this banjo bolt and it was very loose. So that's a good sign. That means we don't have a major problem. Nice, not bad. Let's throw the lockers on and we'll try to come up some of these ledges. We got one right here. We've got one right here. This is probably an I'd probably say easy, moderate, and then this one is difficult right here. It's very dug out here in the middle. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this one today just because I'm alone and I got a trails to run tomorrow. And then this one's probably moderate as well, moderate to difficult. Probably not in the 40s though. I've only run this on 35, so we'll see how it does. Once again, not sure if I'm gonna do this one either. We'll see. I'm alone today, so everyone wants to act like they like doing off-road things until it's time to do off-road things. And here I am alone. This thing is doing awesome. I did notice this thing has literally no power in 4-low, so we're gonna definitely need to do a transfer case. We already knew that. That is probably one of the next things that we're gonna do to this Cherokee, besides a cage and some other stuff, but we'll talk about that another time. I'm gonna head out of here right now, but before we do that, I mean, this whole video is about doing stuff out on the trail with the Jeep. Obviously, we haven't done much of that other than some flex tests in here. It is pretty tough doing this alone because I have no one to film with me. It's a little different than making videos in the shop, but I'm gonna take one of these hard lines. Not gonna go too crazy. If I can't do it, I'm not gonna do it. I don't have a spotter with me. So we're gonna take this tougher line that I said is kind of moderate, kind of tough. See how the Cherokee does. But like I said, this thing has no power in 4-low. We're gonna have to take care of that at some other time. So yeah, let's see if she can make it up this. This was pretty tough on 35, but a little undercut for a 35, but for a 40, I think we're gonna be just fine. really, really bright out. I hope this is focused for you all. I am currently in Moab, but I have a confession to make. It is the next day. It is not the same day like I thought it was going to be. Had a slight change of plans. I got to Moab very, very late. I ended up driving past Moab and went on a trail to find a place to camp. I ended up going probably an hour into the trail. By the time I got to camp, it was dark. I didn't get to do any filming, any drone shots. So here we are now. Yesterday, I met up with a group to go wheeling. We went wheeling and the Jeep did phenomenal. I mean, look at this thing right now. We're on top of a sand dune. This thing did great all weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't film that trail because it wasn't my group and it wasn't my place to film a video. But we're gonna be coming back here to Moab in 1 or 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks, and we're gonna be filming a very, very cool video that I am very excited to share with you all. We're gonna be doing one of the most iconic trails here in Moab, and it's gonna basically be the first rock crawling trail that the Jeep will have been on. Because this weekend, it was honestly more of an overlanding trail. But right now, I'm in a place I've actually never been to. This is the whitewashed sand dunes, and honestly, it's like a mini sand hollow. The Jeep did phenomenal all weekend. If y'all want to see exactly who I went wheeling with and what trails I did, go check out Instagram. It was definitely a great time. I apologize that this video did not end up turning out as I had thought it was going to, but honestly, I had a great weekend. I mean, look at the Jeep right here. It looks so awesome. I can't wait to come back to this spot. This spot is actually really cool. There's sand dunes everywhere, and I'm pretty sure that you can camp anywhere where there's already a fire pit. So we'll be coming back here in the Resurrection Cherokee for sure. So anyways, we're gonna be filming that trail video here in a few weeks. We get a few videos in between that as well. So we're gonna be working on the Resurrection Cherokee. Probably talk about the tent in a future video. I'm excited, y'all. We're getting closer to Rubicon, and I could not be more excited. I'll see you on the trail, and I'll see you next time. 3, 2. Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're gonna attempt to take the Resurrection Cherokee out on its first trail. Okay, that should be good. What? Okay, let's go.